welcome back, everyone, to Pod of Thrones. I'm Jeff.
I'm Jennifer.
And so I know we haven't talked in a while, you guys. I get it. We've been kind of busy. Not only summer with the kids, but we've also been in heavy preparation for where we are right now, which is the 2019 San Diego Comic-Con. Woo! All right. So, right now we're in a hotel room, but I wanted to talk about some stuff in Game of Thrones before we go into, we're planning on going to see the big Game of Thrones panel on Friday, which there's even some breaking news on that. But first, I want to introduce someone. This is someone that we mentioned on the show, I don't know, a month or two ago.
You mentioned me on the show?
Well, yeah, you sent a big missive about your thoughts of the final season, and
I didn't know. I didn't
read all of it on the show, but we did read some of it. So this is a friend of ours, Amanda. We're hanging out with her at San Diego Comic-Con. She comes to us all the way from the Great White North, Canada. So Amanda, thank you for finally joining us on the show. We had to pin you down in a corner at Comic-Con to get you to come on and talk to us. But hello. Hello. So where do we start? Do we start with the old season, guys, or would you rather talk about some of the new stuff that's coming up with Game of Thrones? There's a few little headlines here and there, but I know, Amanda,
maybe we should start with the San Diego Comic-Con bomb that was announced.
Okay, well, let's start with
tonight.
That. So Friday is the Game of Thrones panel. It's the farewell. I've heard people call it a victory tour of sorts. They're going to come out just for the fans, and we were depressed because they weren't even here last year at all.
Right.
That was a bummer.
We missed them.
That was sort of the reason we came to Comic-Con in the first place, was when we realized, A, we can get in, B, Game of Thrones is there. So 2 years ago, we saw the panel, we got some awesome pictures, thanks to another friend of ours, and then last year they didn't even show up. At all. HBO just wasn't here.
Right.
So this year they're back in full force.
What about Westworld?
Well, they got Game of Thrones, they got Westworld this year. That's a Saturday panel. I don't know that we're going to make it, but we'll try. Mm-hmm. And they're also going to be doing a His Dark Materials panel on Thursday, which I'm hoping to get into. So yeah, they are here.
Are they?
Yeah. But not everybody, as it turns out. So I'm going to turn this over to Amanda, because this was your breaking news. You're the one that found this out.
No, they tweeted out. Game of Thrones tweeted out.
No, you were definitely the reporter on this one, right? Yeah.
No. But they tweeted out anyways and said that the Hall H panel was going to be not including D&D any longer, which this would have been the first appearance basically that they would have made since everything has kind of gone down. The ability for the fans to get in there and ask those burning questions that everybody wants to know what actually happened. And they've, less than 48 hours to go, have decided that they are not coming. They're just not going to be here now.
It's interesting you said their sort of first appearance or whatever, because that, I don't know if that's true or not, but it made me think back to what they were saying before the finale, which was we're going to take our wives, we're going to go to a cabin, we're going to lock ourselves away, we're going to turn off all our devices, and we're just going to watch the finale and let the world do its own thing or whatever.
Yes.
They didn't want
they didn't want the fallout, and they're working on Star Wars. Obviously, there's things that they're doing, but This was, for a lot of people that were coming here to Comic-Con, this was going to be hopefully the chance to have some questions answered about why the directions they went or how they did these things, and now, once again, we will be robbed. Robbed!
Well, so who was supposed to come? Just who was supposed to?
No, they were clearly on.
Because here panel. It says Maisie Williams, Raleigh Ritchie, Nicolaj Coster-Waldau.
Do we know who all those people are? Everybody?
Well, yes.
Okay.
Isaac Wright, John Bradley West, and Liam Cunningham, and Conleth Hill.
Yeah. So the crew.
Okay.
So they're not coming now.
Well, so
that's it. So the crew's coming. This was the original panel, and then it was supposed to have these people and D&D, the writers, the showrunners.
So they're not coming, just them. But everybody else is still coming.
Everybody else is still coming.
For now.
For now,
maybe
right,
more
until
of
they
them
pull
will panic.
out.
Well, I almost kind of want to go now because it's going to be a much more interesting panel because the audience is going to be even more worked up, I would imagine, from this because, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, it does. I was thinking, like, do you think anyone would maybe not cheer when some of these people come out? You got to cheer the actors. It's not their fault.
Yeah,
they did a wonderful job.
That's the point,
but
right?
So we're talking about when you say D&D, just in case anyone doesn't know that yet, it's D.B. Weiss and David Benioff, right?
Sorry,
I think I've got that right. So they're the showrunners. They're the guys that wrote the pilot and not all the episodes by any means, but a lot of them, and they wrote the direction for the show.
Right.
So do you think they would have gotten booed?
Oh, 100%. They are massively hated currently on the internet. Like, so bad that if you Google bad writers, their picture comes up on Google.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, they've done all of these different things because they just took it. And, I mean, it kind of goes into what we might have been talking about with the last season with, they went to George and pitched George on, we're going to have this show. And George was like, okay, you've convinced me after sitting down at a restaurant, I think it was somewhere in LA, and he's like, you've convinced me that you're fans enough of this show that I think you guys can do it. But the agreement was that George was going to finish the story. Like, there was never that these guys were going to have to come up with the end of how this was all supposed to work out. He was supposed to continue writing the books. And he never did. So I can't completely hate these two individuals as much as the internet might, because that was never the agreement. It was always supposed to have George finish the story off however he was going to finish it off. And then, yes, there might be ways that they would veer from the books, the television, but, I mean, the end result is they had to figure something out. I mean, that's kind of what we got.
I feel like they just tried to do something that nobody was expecting. And there were so many fan theories out there that they're like, well, let's just do this.
Right.
Well, yeah, and they succeeded in doing something that none of us expected.
Nobody was expecting.
Now, a lot of people expected Daenerys to go crazy. I feel like when I look around on the internet at that stuff, I feel like it's pretty split evenly. Like, there's a lot of people that are just heartbroken and offended that they would have let Daenerys fall this way. And then the other half of the people are like, it was kind of telegraphed the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, she was always teetering on the edge of being a maniac, but
I don't mind. I think I said many times that I thought that Jon was going to kill Dany because she's going to go fucking crazy and he's going to have to protect. I thought maybe Sansa or somebody in his family, but no, it's just the whole kingdom.
Yeah.
7 of them that he had to protect. But I'm okay with the way things kind of went down, except it was just not, it was anticlimactic.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I felt that from what I've read, the showrunners talked to George on one phone call for the last season. That was all that George's input was into that last season. And he said, this is how it ends. So that's what they got, and then they filled in all the pieces. So I agree that Daenerys was going crazy, and there were hints of it all along. And there's definitely more so in the book. There's scenes of her, like, talking to herself, and there's certain, like, things that she's doing in the book that emphasize a lot more that we're headed in that direction. I felt from the last season of Game of Thrones, it was very disappointing for me because she can go crazy. I'm fine with that story arc, and that's what's supposed to be happening. But you could have done it a little bit better. You could have wrote more into that character that we've seen grow and change and had all these different things happen to them over many years of all of our lives. If that's where she ends up, then you could have started a little sooner in having a few more visions or moments of whatever. There's like a few, and you said you Googled things online and you saw people, here are the points, and they went through them all, and I'm like,
sure,
okay, but we went from here to here
very fast, right? And if they only did a couple more shows, they could have added a lot more content,
which, as we've heard, is something that HBO was willing to do, but they said no.
Right.
So, That's when it goes back to being D&D's fault.
These are the questions that wanted answers. Why didn't you take HBO up on that? That's what I would have asked at that Comic-Con panel. Why wouldn't you have taken them up on that? And then they would have been like, can I have a glass of water? I don't know. But, it's just, I guess it's disappointing that they wouldn't even show up here. Adds to the...
they were probably in danger.
Maybe.
I'm going to kill you. You fucked up the last 10 years of my life.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You raped my childhood and all that.
Yeah, no.
Like we've always heard about Star Wars, as a matter of fact. Now these guys are picking up the Star Wars mantle. How's that going to go?
I have no input on it. Like I said, I do feel that these guys did get the short end of the writing stick. It was not what they signed up for.
True.
But I don't excuse that you were horrible directing and writing in the end here. Yeah. You could have done more here. There were things that could have been done, and I think even some of the actors that are going to be on the panel tomorrow have come out and stated those types of things. Like we could have done some other things here before things ended this way. And
Conleth Hill was a big one. He plays Varys, and he was not happy at all with the way his character went out.
No,
because it was very sudden,
and it was kind of vague,
and it was kind of dumb. Like he just gave himself up. He was like, all right, so I'm going to do treason. And if you have to tell Daenerys, I guess, whatever. And then he was kind of sad about it.
Like she said in the season before that, if you do this to me, I'm going to kill you. And then that, okay, like it played out the way it should have. It was just like you're saying, it was just very anticlimactic. Like for the guy that's been the master spy through the whole series to just be like, yeah.
Right.
I'm just going to walk up to John on the beach and be like, hey, let's commit treason right here as soon as you land in full front of you. Like, it's just so, I can't even, saying it out loud is just ridiculous, right? I mean, and it's not that she killed him. That's not the part that is the bad part. It's that you could have done that in so many other ways. It could have even almost taken the same amount of time.
Right.
That scene took or whatever. But that's what you want to write for that writer, like for that character. Like
there were so many holes.
How did you think about the way? Because I don't think we ever talked about this before, but since you mentioned Varys's 7 seasons of amazing machinations, Baelish, how did you feel about the way he went out? He was always my favorite, not counting Arya.
I felt his ending was more fitting. I didn't feel robbed there. Like throughout the entire series, the deaths of the characters have never been the thing, but there's certain deaths that don't bother us, and then there's certain things that happened in this last season that bothered everybody. When Ned died, it was traumatic. Everybody was like, so oh my God. More. But there was no, oh my God, this is horrible writing. How dare you do this to me? And it wasn't.
That was long building.
Right. There was reasons that it happened. Everything made sense. The character developed into that. Ned made a lot of mistakes that you could clearly see over the course of his character development that would allow it to end up there. It fit. Everything just made sense. So even though you might not have liked the death, it still made...
It was fulfilling.
Sense, yes. And I do feel that Peter's death was more fitting to that. There were certain elements he made mistakes. It was getting into the line. Like you've probably seen some of those, memes on the internet where like season 6, 7, and 8 got progressively worse.
The one with the drawing of a horse.
That
and
horse
it's like
drawing,
this beautiful. Yeah. Have you seen that one?
No.
It's like this beautiful pencil drawing of a horse, perfectly shaded. It's like its butt and tail and stuff. And then the horse gets progressively less and less detailed until by season 7 and 8, it's like a stick figure horse with googly eyes and its tongue hanging out.
And that I feel that is a beautiful example of this, because it's like there were still elements in that death scene of his where I was like, would he really have done that? Like I have a hard time with would he have just stuck around? Like there was a few conspiracy theories before that season came out that he was planning something and he was going to escape and all that. And I thought, I don't know that he really would have stuck around, but I was okay with it. I said, yes, it's plausible. Everything here could have happened. People make mistakes, and that's that. He made a mistake there, and it caused his death. But some of the things in the last season, I still don't. Everybody just shakes their head as you look around because you just don't even know which. Like the white horse and Arya. What is that? Anyone? Did you have any theories on that?
It was like a 10-minute scene, and
what did that have to do with anything? I still don't know. I've not even heard a good theory on it, except she needed to get out from the center, out so she would not be dead. There was my Canadian out for you there.
There was one theory that she needed to get out, so Bran sent her a horse with his magic warky powers.
But she didn't need to get out because
it was over, really.
It was over, and then the next scene, she's over talking to Jon. She's next to Jon.
Yeah. Right. She was fine.
And then there was the theory that, babe.
Well, there was something having to do with Daenerys having a white horse and Arya having a white horse. I heard some people saying, I don't know what
in early seasons. Daenerys had a white horse.
Her white horse
her
that
gift
she did.
from Khal
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. No, I feel that's a reach.
Even the burnt little girl with the horse in her hand, they focused on it. You're like, what's going to happen? Oh my God.
It just felt like it was full of symbolism. My favorite one, until the big letdown, was that it was a pale horse, which is what Death rides.
Yes.
And she was going to do that. Would have theoretically led to some big thing happening in that final episode. Even thinking about it now, I get all excited because I just want to see Arya do something else. But
she did something big.
No, she didn't.
Well, she killed the Night King.
But that was before the horse.
That was 3 episodes earlier.
Oh.
Pre-horse. This was after.
Yeah.
She did, though. And I was okay with her killing
I loved
the
her
Night
killing
King.
the Night
I thought
King.
that was an acceptable thing as well. There was nothing particularly wrong with that. What I wanted in that battle, that day, I wanted Bran, when he was doing his little whatever he was doing that was never explained, I wanted him to do anything at all magical. Anything.
Pretty much
summon some dire wolves. Summon some children of the forest. It doesn't even need to impact the battle or change anything or even be a huge money production. Just make him do something.
Right.
So that as things continued on, again, his character was like, yeah, but you were that pinnacle point when the death wolves or the dire wolves, came during that battle, and that's why you should be king, because you played a role.
Right, because you did a thing.
Anything at all.
His biggest role was looking into the past and revealing Jon's heritage, and then Jon's heritage turned out to be completely meaningless. Now,
meant nothing.
But if that stuff was George's decision, which I imagine it is to a large extent, all those things throughout the entire book series, all the R plus L equals J stuff, and
he hates us.
Yeah, does George hate us?
He hates us. That's the only plausible answer.
There were so many Jon Snow red herrings. He got resurrected.
Why?
He was supposed to be. Everything was leading to him being either king or the most amazing epic hero of prophecy, or both. And he was neither, because Arya killed the Night King. Jon didn't do shit.
Did nothing. Not one thing.
Season 8, he was completely neutered.
He said, "You are my queen."
He did ride a dragon.
You are my queen.
Yeah, I hated the way he bowed to her. That was so annoying for me.
If he just would have bowed a little bit lower, gotten on his knees a little bit, Daenerys could have been a totally happy person that day at the battle. I'm sticking to that. He should have taken care of business.
Or he could have just not told her right before this epic battle was coming that he was the rightful king.
Yeah, he shouldn't have told her that either. That was
wait
really
until
stupid.
the fucking battle's over, you idiot.
But that's what Starks do. They make bad decisions. And now Bran Stark is king.
I can't with this one. I just don't. He did nothing. He did absolutely nothing. And again, there was an entire, what season was it that we did all that North Wall stuff with Bran and the Green Seer and all the other books that are about all of this stuff, and it means nothing. He did nothing.
Seasons 5 and 6 had a lot of that.
The entire series was about north of the Wall and all of this going things and Hodor and all of it. All of it. Just to throw back to that good writing, good skill, death that happened that mattered, and everything led up to one moment, and it all, yes, it makes sense, and you feel happy and fulfilled. And then all of it was for nothing. So he could...
Well, Hodor gave up his life so that the king could be the king.
So that Bran could be the king.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Because Bran, I mean,
You're there too? You agree that it's just...
Yeah.
Bran will probably be a good king.
Sansa did nothing also.
Right? I mean, emotionless, pragmatic.
From what it looked like in the last scene, the very last scene of the show that I won't rewatch yet, so you forgive me if I misquote.
The High Council meeting?
He came in and said, hey guys, how's it going? I'm going to go do some other stuff.
I'm going to go watch a dragon.
Look into the something. Yeah. You guys take care of the day-to-day running of the king. So he's not even running the kingdom. So it was basically like my take on the whole thing was like when what's his name's like, let's set up a democracy and let everybody do, and they were like, ha ha ha, that's so funny. And then they kind of set that up anyway. Right? Like that that's the ending. That was really kind of the ending. These people with their special roles were going to kind of take control of the kingdom. And it's not Bran. He's not doing nothing. It's true. He's taken visions of other things. And I feel, again, that that's probably what George said. Here, this is what the kingdom should do. They're not ready to do that yet, but this is kind of where it's going to be. But the writing doesn't make you feel happy about any of that. It's almost a forgettable scene that thing even happened. It's not important. You don't really care. I was like, why is that evil sellsword sitting here more than any other thing?
Braun.
Yeah, like how is he here?
He's the master of coin. It's amazing.
Of all the people, how did he get to that point, right? Like he, just there were things like that I just...
Braun was probably the most successful climber of the ladder of chaos.
By far.
He played the Game of Thrones well.
He did play the Game of Thrones. You're right.
Master of Coin is a pretty powerful position.
From Flea Bottom, is that where he started with? I can't remember now. His original arc.
I'm not sure. Maybe. I don't
remember.
Well, I don't know if we got his backstory, at least in the show, but he was always just a poor broke sellsword.
Yeah. And Jaime and Cersei. How did you feel about their death?
I feel that they are twins and they need to... I'm okay that he ran away and he's a jerk and he had to go back to Cersei. As much as I don't like it, I feel that is probably what he would do. That is his character. He is his twin and blah, blah, blah. I don't like it. He could have gone a different direction. And we had 8 seasons of him going to be, I'm going to be a good guy, and we had it for like 10 minutes, and then it was like, no, actually, I'm still just same old Lannister. So that's fine. I can understand it, but I felt they deserved a bit more. I felt her character, again, deserved a lot more than standing around drinking wine. What did the pregnancy have to do with anything? What did the pirate relationship have to do with anything? What did anything have to do with anything? Like there was nothing there to this evil character who went through again so much. What did what's his name, the brother, the Frankenstein dude, what's Kroger,
the Mountain,
Gregor,
yes,
Gregor Clegane.
What was that all about? What did he have to do with anything? Why was he brought back from the... There's just so many questions that don't really... Like, that death battle between the two of them was like the high point of that entire episode. And Cersei and Jaime were like, hey, it's the rocks.
Yeah.
It's over, But there was like a 15-minute battle sequence of...
Yeah.
Or longer, I don't even know. And I'm not discounting that there were characters, but... Do I really care about them as much as I care about Jaime and Cersei's death?
Or more than
that one was fan service. People wanted the Cleganes to get back together. I honestly didn't, but a lot of people did.
But and more than you want to see what happens to Jaime and Cersei. The amount of screen time between these characters, if you totaled. I mean,
That depends. I mean, if Jaime and Cersei were just going to get hit in the head by rocks and then die peacefully in each other's arms, then I'm fine with the screen time going to the Cleganes. But if they were going to do something else, like maybe have Jaime kill Cersei to save the kingdom or try to, I mean, that would have been drama worth seeing.
Stab each other, anything. I'm fine with them dying. I'm fine with him going back to her. Yeah. We could have done anything there, any amount of anything to have me care at all, except rocks crushing you to death, but flawless skin when you wake up and the rocks are moved. You're beautiful still. Lannister charm.
Yeah.
I'm kind of bitter about the last season in case that's not coming across.
Fan. I mean, you've been really into Game of Thrones, the show. You're really into the books forever.
The books.
When did you read the first book?
When they came out.
So that's my brother, 20 years ago, right?
Yes. My brother got the book for me. He worked in a gaming store, and he's like, you'll like this fantasy series. You got to read it. And I've read it all the way along, purchased hardcover novels because they come out before the paper copies. Like, I had to have it as soon as they came out. And when it split off, I almost didn't even want to watch the show because I'm like, I want to wait for the books. And then I was like, he might not. So I'm going to watch the show. I'm going to keep going with it. And I was like, okay. And then each season I was like, and this last season, I definitely feel that they've split. It's split from the books. I feel they went their own direction, like you said originally, with that they just wanted to shock us. They just wanted to do, well, everybody thinks this is what's going to happen. Well, this is what we're going to do. Some of the things that happened in the show can't happen in the book. Some of those characters don't exist in the book anymore, that played roles and did certain things in the TV show. So it'll be different. There will be some differences. I just want to read the books, really, and pretend that this didn't happen. That's kind of where I'd like to be with it.
Do you think the books will ever come?
I do. I think...
What if George dies?
I think he's going to get them out because I can't believe anything else to be true. If this ends and my life goes unfulfilled, I will never know what George's vision truly was. That would be very, very sad. I don't know why he's taken so long.
You better hurry up.
I've been reading his blog. I'm sure you guys have seen his blog.
He talks about everything but
football and the movie theater he's working on, like whatever.
He's making
else.
a video game now. He's written a video game.
He's got all these other shows. I'm
and
like,
another
please,
book
George.
Or something. He's got other books.
Yeah, he's put out some comics.
Quite a few books. Quite a few
all
books.
sorts of other stuff.
And I'm okay with that. I understand you've built a massive empire and you don't want to face the fallout that these two writers have just experienced because you screwed it all up. I understand there's a lot of pressure there, George.
He could totally change it now, too. He could screw over HBO.
He can, and I partly think that this is what he was doing. He's like, maybe... let's test this ending out. let's market research and see what happens. That is not going to be a good ending. Let's switch off from that and see what's going to happen. Like, I honestly feel
it's
like
the most expensive focus group ever.
but it's
possible.
It's the only plausible explanation I can come up. Like, why? I don't know. He supposedly he only writes on his typewriter, like an old typewriter. God. In his room, in his one house. He can't do writing any other location. I don't know if this is completely all accurate or true, but things that I've learned over the years. And I was like, okay, stop coming to Comic-Con, George. You just got to sit in that room for a while. Just play some music. Do what you need to do. Like, there was a chapter that was released for the Winds of Winter.
Oh, yeah. That was... a year and a half ago, maybe more.
Like, I feel like many years ago.
It was a long time ago, you're right.
And there's been nothing.
And then we were like, oh, this must mean the Winds of Winter. I'm sure if we went back through our catalog of podcasts, we could find it. Yeah. Winds of Winter release date impending, you know.
I feel like there was April 2018 was a thing.
Yeah, well, we've had a few. Yeah, we've had a few where it's like, this must be the one.
This is it. We're almost there. but like, if part of the book got released and there were those things, I'm like, just finish those. Just give us what you have, George. Whatever you've got right now.
Split it into two
Make
books.
It a half book, right?
Just put whatever. I know you said only 6, but you also said it was going to be released before the end of Game of Thrones.
Before the end of your life.
Just give us something. But, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So, that all said, if Winds of Winter comes out,
yes,
you're there.
The book.
Yeah, day one.
Yeah, day one.
You're at the bookstore waiting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they haven't lost you as a fan then.
No, I still, and again, I'm, as much as I'm very bitter about, as it's, I'm sure, coming across in this, I'm bitter about how the show ended. I don't blame it. I understand. It's very complicated. They've set up an entire world with such complex storylines that fans have done so much theories on trying to take it all apart and put it all together. And it literally is one guy who we've just described as kind of eccentric and sits in his house and has a little typewriter that has created this world. There's going to be some flaws. There's going to be some holes and things that don't necessarily make sense. What I didn't like about the show, again, is it's the writing. It's that not the decisions that were made. It's how you got us there. It's how Daenerys, she had lots of time to turn into that crazy person or have that experience happen. Or lots of things Varys could have done to end up where he did.
There were so many things that they preempted earlier on, like Varys talking about the guy that tortured him and cut off his parts.
Right.
I assumed that was going to somehow close.
Well, you know, the thing
he
is,
was going to
like,
have that guy shipped. Oh, he didn't have that guy shipped.
No, but there was the guy in the box, right?
Was
but
that
then
him?
it was, I think it was season 6, where that other Red Witch was in Marine talking to Varys, and she referenced something about, like, what Varys heard in the flames.
Right.
Never got any satisfaction out of that
Yes, there were
plot.
so many things like that they didn't ever finish.
We should do a series rewatch and only take notes of loose ends that were never fulfilled.
Loose ends,
The
yes.
Loose End podcast.
Yeah.
We could.
Lots of loose ends.
Yeah.
Sometimes I worry that maybe the last season ended up the way it did because Jon Snow or Kit Harington was fucked up the entire time because he went into rehab right after the show ended.
Oh.
I know, but sometimes I think maybe that had some kind of effect on their season. Him not doing anything.
Or did the show writing have the effect on him?
Could be. Could be.
Working on the show, going into that. Did you
Going
watch
thinking
the
you're going to
documentary?
be the hero and you're going to be like
And then
one
you
of the
do
most
nothing.
hated people because you did nothing after all
Yeah,
of that.
that's an interesting point.
Well,
I don't know.
don't think people hate him. He's still...
I don't know.
Dreamy.
He knows nothing. But
Right.
he's still good.
But I think he went from being a hero to being a he knows nothing.
That's
Like,
what I
much
feel like
more
at my
so.
work right now. I went from being a hero to a zero. Sorry.
Aw. Not in our book. But.
Yeah.
Well, that was a down note.
Sorry. You can cut that out. Just cut it
I
out.
don't have time for that. Sorry, I'm putting this up. If anyone burps into the microphone, it's going live.
Good to know.
All right, what about the prequels? Are you in for those?
You know, I have a saying that I say to people, and it's that there are only 3 Star Wars. And I feel that that is an accurate statement for me. Some people obviously will disagree with that, and that's fine. We all have our own things. But to me, there are really only 3 Star Wars. And I kind of feel this way about Game of Thrones. I feel like there was a couple of seasons there that were accurate and I will remember, and then there's some that I just don't ever want. They just didn't happen. They don't exist. And I don't know about the prequel. I feel, again, that these are going to be things that are attempting to take even more complicated topics than we've dealt with in this entire Westeros history and explain things. And are they going to be able to do that? Is this going to be, we're just milking the series for all it's worth? Like, let's stay in the same world and do what we can. I don't know. What have you, I haven't even really looked into it too much because I'm kind of torn. I'll probably watch, of course, the first episode. Everyone's going to watch the first episode, right?
Well, you have to.
Yeah,
You have to.
But
well, there were some headlines that came out recently. Entertainment Weekly on their website, they had. Well, now the headline was George R.R. Martin reveals 5 new facts about HBO's Game of Thrones prequel, which, in the context of this conversation, is almost enraging because it's like, fucker, just stop with the prequel and just finish the quell.
No shit. Is he just tired of it?
I'm sure there's an element of it. It was my baby, and I'm burned out. I don't want to play with that anymore. I want to play with something new.
That's why I never finish most video games.
Yeah.
So many, like Fallout 3, I've been playing it for 3 years now, 4 years now. I've never seen the ending myself.
Really?
I just keep starting new characters. It's getting too deep, and I'm like, oh, I want to change tracks. That must be what George is doing. Skyrim. I've never won Skyrim.
No.
It's sad. Friggin' sad, man. I love those games. Well, okay, let's see what these 5 things are. All right. In the prequel, Westeros is divided into roughly 100 kingdoms. Mm-hmm. So that's a thing. He says, we talk about the 7 kingdoms in Westeros, but there were 7 kingdoms at the time of Aegon's conquest. If you go back further, there are 9 kingdoms and 12 kingdoms, and eventually you get to a point where there were 100 kingdoms. Now that's the era we're talking about here. So we're going way back. Yeah, so it's a lot of banners.
So what time would that be?
Well, thousands of years ago.
Seems like they should be cavemen.
In the prequel, there are Starks and direwolves.
Yeah, so this would have been like when the Children of the Forest and the Northern Men were still like a thing.
Well, I don't know. Maybe this article will say it. I actually haven't read it because I was saving it for the podcast. The rumor has been thus far that we're expecting this to be the first emergence of the Night King, which probably means the war between the First Men and the Children of the Forest, followed by the creation of the Night King, and then the original Long Night. Now, they've said that the show is called Blood Moon. That's the latest thing for that. I don't know if you guys
Is that a hint of Blood Raven? Like, same idea there?
Maybe.
Screen Seers?
He was around a long time, right?
No, it wouldn't be the same time, but like a softly familiar name.
Blood Moon. Let's see. There will not be any Lannisters, at least not at first. The prequel predates the rise of the Lannister family.
Yeah.
Casterly Rock is certainly there, but that's not a big deal because the Casterly Rock that's not the original home of the Lannisters anyway, right? They took it from the Casterly family. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's a true ensemble. That's news. Okay. So, great. I'm not even going to read that. It's an ensemble cast. Congratulations. We got a lot of stars. The show might get a slightly different title than the one you're expecting. Oh, see, I think this was before the thing about Blood Moon leaked out. So, because there was a thought that it would be called The Longest Night or The Long Night, but it does seem that George is confirming that it's that time frame. It's just not. That's just not necessarily the title. That's all.
So this would have been only the old gods, none of the new gods, none of the mother and the 7 gods. That would be only the
I imagine that
gods.
Religion wouldn't have come around yet.
That's
That's the other thing that pissed me off. They didn't ever like reveal anything about the gods.
No.
You had the Lord of Light or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
And then you had
whatever his name
the
was.
7 Faces guy or whatever he was.
The many-faced guy.
Many-faced god.
Many-face, right. And then
The old gods.
The old gods.
Yeah.
I really wish they eventually had come out and said, yeah, this was like a battle for the gods or something like that, you know? And
that part was really not explained because really it was the Lord of Light that brought Jon Snow back to life, did everything to put Melisandre there for Arya.
Killed Shireen.
Did all of these different things for no conceivable...
So Bran could be the king.
So Bran,
really?
who worships the old gods, could be the king. It's not explained at all. Like this, again, I would have...
Wait, I'm sorry. I would just like to interject on behalf of Bran, if you just give me a second. I don't worship the old gods anymore. I don't believe in any gods. I only believe in truth. There.
Did he say that?
No, I'm just assuming he would say that.
It sounds pretty... I thought that was a line he said. I feel like that scene happened in one of those really long episodes that had all kind of pointless dialogue that didn't reveal anything.
Yeah, he could have just stayed where he was the entire time.
Yeah. Just don't.
Anyway, the gods thing, though, I think the implication of the many-faced god was that none of that other shit matters, right? Like, if you worship the 7 or the old gods or the Lord of Light or Lord of Darkness, in the end, they're all the many-faced god. There's just one god.
No, there's not.
This is getting quite spiritually deep now, but the point is, in the show, that's not... in the books,
evidence.
that's not true. right? And this is, I guess, to go to the prequel story that we were still talking about. Part of that is that the people from across the sea came over and invaded, and then that's why we have the two different religions in Westeros now. So the people still worship the old gods, and the Starks and the Northern men are all still in that Children of the Forest type time frame of old gods. That's what this show is probably going to be about, and talk about that a lot more. There'll be none of this invading territory that's like King's Landing people or people in the South. None of those religions existed. None of those people were involved in that. They invaded into Westeros. That's what happened. Well, so Daenerys and the dragons, all of that, none of that existed.
But the existence of the religion doesn't create a god. I mean, let's just say hypothetically the Judeo-Christian Islam God exists, right? Let's say that God exists, and that God has been the God that always exists. Let's just say that hypothetically. Doesn't matter what any of us believe right now, but let's just take it to the real world. If the God that is just called God really exists, but then thousands of years ago there were Egyptian gods, Greek gods, Sumerian gods. There are all sorts of different deities all over the world. People might have experienced miracles and the power of what we have eventually figured out is just one dude with a white beard. But he would have been like okay with that because he's like, well, you guys just don't understand yet that I'm an old dude with a white beard. It's okay. You can still pray to me, and you can call me Hotep, or you can call me I don't know.
I see what you're
Zeus.
saying, but I do feel in the show or the books that they were specifically saying, like the old gods with the trees that I can't think of the name of because it's late.
Weirwood trees?
Weirwood trees, and Bran and his entire story arc have something definitely distinctly to do with the old god and very specific. Lord of Light, completely different. Worship me in this way. All about fire. All about this. All about these other things. I agree that the Seven. I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now.
They never did anything miraculous in the show. Yeah,
no,
they were
you're
probably
right.
not true.
And then you had the Sparrow, and what god was he?
Well, that's the Seven.
That's the Seven. So they never did anything. Worshipping of the Seven would be him in its entirety. But I mean, there must have been something that I can't think of. Did they know there's really nothing from the Seven? Any miraculous event of any kind? I don't think we ever
saw any miracles.
Well, there's probably something to that then. Regard. But definitely between the old gods and the Lord of Light. But I get what you're saying, that they could all just be one guy. And
well, that's what Jack and Hagar says, and I like to think that Jack and Hagar is probably the smartest dude in the world. He's awesome.
Yeah,
right. I mean,
he's pretty cool.
He's pretty cool.
That would have been nice for closure also.
Oh, God, yes. If he would have shown up at any point.
Right. Where the fuck did Jaqen go?
He was the best.
Just said something, anything.
Yeah.
Anything. And bitch girl, the waif.
Well, she died.
She died.
She got her face cut off.
She did?
Yeah.
Arya killed her, somewhere there.
Really?
Yeah. It was that whole, the Terminator 2 chase scene.
Yeah.
Through the streets of Braavos.
And then she stabbed her, and Arya fell in the thing, and then she went and got healed by the other lady, the actor.
No, the chase scene was after the stabbing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. She got stabbed, and then they chased.
And then there was that dark room with a candle.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that swipes the candle out, and then...
That was pretty cool. But we didn't get to see anything, did we?
No, we didn't get to see that.
Yes, that's right. The dark candle. I forgot. Yes. Yeah. I thought it was the stabby on the top of the wall there, too.
Arya killed her in darkness.
Yeah.
But it would have been nice.
Would have been nice.
Jaqen, yeah.
Many-faced God, he turns up as Syrio.
I don't know if I would call that a loose end or not, because Syrio Forel could have literally just died and not been in relation to Jaqen at all.
Yeah.
But it's a really strong fan theory for, I think, some good reasons. That they were the same dude, and that Syrio got away and then took off a mask and was Jaqen and hid in the cage and knew Arya was going to wind up there. And it was just, the whole show would have revolved around this prophecy, some sort of other prophecy about someone that
Arya killing the night.
The many-faced gods prophecy.
There was the whole prophecy. That was just not a thing,
Maybe they did the show the way they did so that we would all sit here and talk about this bullshit forever.
Well, and this is, I was hoping they were going to come to Comic-Con tomorrow and say these types of things so I could feel better about it. Like, we just wanted you to talk about it.
We're coming around full circle. So, yeah, what this all started with was that they're not going to be here.
They're not
going
to be
here. We'll have the actors.
Well, I'm sure they're going to be some amount of questions, but they don't really have the answers is the point. They were just given the scripts and did their jobs of what they were supposed to do. They're not going to have any answers about why the stories went in this direction, or...
They should, because they all sat around the table and read their parts.
Everybody's seen that video. Oh my God. I can't even with some of those. I could...
the one, the table read with the actors sort of reacting to some of the stuff they were saying.
Reacting to their acting, yes.
So they knew it was coming. They should have said something then.
They did. Didn't you see the interview with Daenerys saying, like, it was an Entertainment Tonight or something, and they said, you know, what do you think of the final season? I know you can't really say anything, right. And she's like, season 8, you're gonna love it. Like, she was like, it was so... Yeah. Like, they knew.
When you look back on it, like, that was way before the season premiered, and she just seemed weird and socially awkward and just very strange. But then people started saying, I think she's trying to tell us it's not going to be any good.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. They went back. I mean, when you go back and look at something, you can always find whatever you're looking for, but I don't know.
Now, in fairness to you, the listening audience, we're going to have the audio and probably some good pictures, maybe some video from that panel, but I would not count on really hard, awesome questions getting asked.
No.
There's no way to guarantee that, because the Comic-Con Hall H question asking system
is not good.
It's rigged.
Is rigged even the right word? It's just broken.
It's broken, right? I don't understand.
It'll go something like this. Oh my God, I love you. I'm your biggest fan. And then it'll be something like, I love Game of Thrones, and can you tell me what kind of cupcake is your favorite? It'll have nothing to do with anything at all, and no one, and the actor will be like, what did he say? Did he say my favorite cupcake? And they'll turn to one another and they'll be like, you get this one, man. It's your question. Like, that's about 90% of the questions, I would say.
Yeah.
And then there's a few that, you know, are somewhat relevant that don't really matter. Like, I don't know, what's a question? You guys have one, I'm sure.
Was it weird when you and
yes. Was it weird when you kiss?
Right.
When you have a real wife?
What was it
I love
like?
you. Can you be my wife? Like, it's just so bad.
Except then they would have cut off the microphone.
Yeah, then they take all the mic, run away.
Could you be?
Yeah.
And then the sound just goes dead.
Just goes dead.
Yeah. They got that part locked down.
Yeah. Maybe get in line this year.
Yeah.
Somehow.
You just have to stand there the whole time.
You have to go and sit in the middle and the back where they always ask the questions.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
What question would you ask? Put you on the spot.
No.
You got to come up with a good one now. It's got to be better than what cupcake. I'm the biggest fan. Leave that part out. You're literally standing in a room full of the biggest fans in the world of the series.
Isaac Hempstead Wright.
Yes.
Do you feel that your character truly had the best story of all of the possible throne sitters? Would that be too hard of a question to ask? No.
Do you really feel the show is all about you?
See, and I thought Bran was going to have a pivotal role, and I think that's what I typed to you before we had the end of the season. I think I said he was going to have this epic battle with the Night King. He was going to, like, use all of his powers of going back in time and figuring things out. Whether or not he did anything specific or not, or had the magical manifest in real life or not, that part was never really explained. But he's a god. He basically can go back in time and learn about absolutely anything that he would ever need to know, and has unlimited amount of time to do that. Like, you're a god. That's pretty much it there at that point. So do something with that at all. Yeah. And the first season, the very first chapter of Game of Thrones, the original book, is from the perspective of Bran. So the entire story starts with Bran and Ned, and there's a wildling that comes down, and then it's all from Bran from the very beginning. So I'm okay, really, with Bran being the guy at the end. He just didn't do anything to deserve being king. That would be my answer. I'm like, no, he did not. He did absolutely nothing from about season 6 onward to be like, yeah, he's number one, the guy that should be king here. Jon Snow should have been king. I still don't understand why Jon Snow shouldn't have been king. He'd saved the entire 7 kingdoms from the crazy lady. I don't care what Grey Worm said.
Grey Worm mad.
I don't give a shit. Grey Worm got on a boat and left. They could have said, yeah, we're going to send Jon up north.
We talked about that.
Right. And then when he's gone, everybody's like, okay, Jon.
Come on.
Okay, Jon, you're king now.
You're good.
You're king. And now that everybody's agreeing, if Grey Worm comes back, we'll just kill him. Like, I don't understand why Grey Worm has more authority than everyone else in the kingdoms.
Grey Worm would have been dead within weeks. We talked about that whole butterfly disease thing.
Right.
He was going to Noth, where they were all going to die from the butterfly disease. Die screaming.
That was...
Okay, how about this instead? To Isaac Hempstead, right? What was Bran doing during the Battle
Yes.
of Winterfell? How about that? That would have been a good question,
Yes,
right?
I would love to know. And he doesn't know the answer to that.
But he must have... If you were the actor, wouldn't you have asked? Right?
Yes.
Like, go to
what
the
did
writers or the director.
That's what I would say. Maybe that's the question I would ask, because he's not going to be able to answer. What did the script say you were doing during... That's what I would ask. Because they had to write something down. Like, close your eyes and focus. Is that what the script said? Like, it would have been like there had to be a line there. That's what I want to know. That's a good question. And everyone would love the answer to that, because we all want to know, what did Bran do when he flew off as those ravens and did absolutely nothing to the battle?
Or
of
how
any
about
kind?
to Conleth Hill? Was Varys trying to poison Daenerys, or was he just trying to figure her out? What was up with the
Yes.
rings? Were you
Right,
just trying to
yes.
sell some rings
Why
online?
were they focusing on your rings?
Yes.
Was
that
it
final
maybe
scene.
it was
It seemed like
marketing?
it was really product placement,
Right.
but
Maybe it was marketing.
it's...
There was no name, though. Can you please tell us the name of the rings you're trying to market?
I had to Google it. I found it at one point. But
You did?
yeah, we talked about it on the show.
Rings?
Like when I was Googling like what's up with Varys' rings, and then all I could find was that there were replica rings being sold by some company.
Huh.
And then
That's
it was
weird.
like, well, is that the only reason they showed us the rings in the show? Was because this company was going to sell the rings, and there was no
No,
follow through
no.
on any of them.
Right.
Well, there's
Fire their marketing team.
We've talked for an hour how there was no follow through on.
Maybe we should. Okay, so will one of us get in line for a question? Maybe, but it's a real
That's
long
the
shot.
best
Getting
question.
going.
If you do that, that would be what I would ask, because it
What
would.
was Bran doing?
Yeah, not what was he doing, because he can't answer that because he doesn't know. The script was not, but I want to know what the script said. What was written on the script that you had to read, and then when you were acting, you had to act like that? And was it? And he can answer that. He could say like, "Oh, it literally just said close my eyes and think," and then we know that that's what he was doing, closing his eyes and thinking. I don't know. If I was there tomorrow, I'd line up for that.
So many people died just so he could be king.
Well, that's how kings work, dear.
It should have been Jon Snow. Team Jon Snow.
Team Jon Snow. He'll be king of the North. He'll be king beyond the wall.
King in the North.
Sure.
Sure. That'll work. And
Okay, we
Arya will
coulda
be
just-
queen of the oceans.
We could have saved, 6.5 seasons if that was the case. He could have just stayed up there with the free folk and everything would have been fine.
Right.
Arya could have just flew over the wall and stabbed him with the pointy thing, and we could have saved a lot of time. I mean, it was inevitable. The Lord of Light had predicted all of that, so it's all fine. We just didn't need any of those things. Nothing. The resurrection. No need for any of it.
Yep. Well.
No.
All right. I think, we probably have talked for almost an hour. That
Has it been?
was
I don't
good.
know.
That was fun. I mean, you thought you were tired, but look at you go.
I'm tired.
You were very animated talking
Always.
about Game of Thrones.
Of course.
So thank you for doing that with us, Amanda. That was
problem.
fun. Everybody, there will be stuff from Game of Thrones and fucking a bunch of other shit over the next few days, over the next week. We'll be putting out a lot of content. So make sure you're following us on Twitter, of course. We're posting pictures there. I'm at Pot of Thrones. Don't shake your head at me.
I don't know. I cannot ever remember.
You don't know your Twitter?
Oh, good. It's only been,
Well, I'm
a
at
couple
Kid
years.
Free Weekend. The Kid Free Weekend.
No, just Kid Free Weekend.
Free
At
Weekend.
Kid Free Weekend. You want to plug anything, Amanda?
Sure. I'm at Amanda Blaine.
BLAIN. Yay, Amanda.
Yay!
Where you can reach out to us anytime. Jeff at potofthrones.com or Jennifer at potofthrones.com.
Thanks.
Yeah, let us know what you think about what's going on at Comic-Con. We will cover as much stuff as we can get. We got interviews, we got panels, we got pictures, so stay tuned. Lots of stuff coming.
We'll be right back.
Okay. I think that's a good...